Amazing. Welcome to part one of the core integration classes. We're doing it a little bit differently than the last two series. We are narrowing the classes down to 40 minutes. One, because you can repair more easily after the classes as they become more intense. Part 3 and 4 are super intense. Part 1 is the foundation and the fundamentals. Part 1 is safe. 2 weeks post-birth and onwards. You'll find that if you do part 1 for 2 weeks post-birth, you will definitely be ready to begin with part 2, even if you only began this 2 weeks after your birth. If you begin it 2 years after birth, it will still be beneficial, just saying. Please come to a pose that we call constructive rest. It looks like this. Lying down on your back, soles of the feet on the ground, hips distance apart. Arms relax by your side, relax into your lower back and your shoulders. Make sure the back of the neck is long in your constructive rest. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. So, beginning with the fundamentals is good for everyone, even people that feel that they have an integrated core. I've learned so much coming back into the fundamentals as well. Take a few deep breaths and focus on the exhalation breath. Let each exhale breath become longer and feel yourself softening through the middle. Now, post-birth, you might not feel anything during this first series, and that's okay. I have moms saying, it's terrifying, I can't feel my core. This can be normal. Just keep going, keep trying, and after a little while, that spongy feeling will turn into something else. And even if you had a strong core pre-birth and feel quite good post-birth, there's still work to be done with feeling your way back into the pelvic floor muscles. And this is where the blanket is going to become important. And the first marble roll exercise that we will do is really important. We tend to think of our core as our abdominals, and that's what we typically hear in training sessions, engage your abdominals and so on. But your core is the most intimate, the closest to your center that you can get. It begins from within. The core involves the spine, the psoas muscles, the transverse, and the deep pelvic floor muscles as well. So when we talk about moving from the core, we talk about moving with the awareness of our breathing, the spine, the deeper abdominals, but also the inner thighs and pelvis, the navel center, and the center of the chest. So we move from the external environment now into a relationship with ourselves, which really is what is so beautiful about coming to your deeper core. We relearn ourselves, we remake ourselves post-birth as well. We're going to take 5 breaths with a soft, long exhale out of the mouth, and I would like you to listen in subtly to the deep core muscles as you do this. Inhale through the nose. And begin your longer, soft breaths out of very gently parted lips. Let the breath trail off until it is complete on the exhale, before inviting the inhale breath spontaneously into the body. You might imagine that you're holding a very long plastic straw between your lips. And as you blow out, it's a very soft blowing out from gently O-shaped lips through this plastic straw. Beautiful. Continue to do this. Now, as you are doing this, I'd like you to notice something. On the exhale, the diaphragm is now working correctly, and the diaphragm is involved in the subtle core muscles. So as we turn on our breathing correctly to involve the diaphragm through this exhale breath, you may feel a little bit of bounce back as the inhale is invited into the body. And you'll begin to notice a subtle core activation of the whole interior as well, because you are now breathing correctly. When we are not breathing with awareness or correctly, neither are we using our core muscles to become involved in the breathing. And this is a fundamental issue with core exercises. If you're not feeling correctly into diaphragmatic breath, you do not turn your core on correctly. We'll take 3 more of these exhale breaths out of the mouth. Really go inwards and listen inwards to see if you can find that subtle abdominal activation with each breath in and out. It is subtle. This isn't about big movements. This is about going deeper into body self. Beautiful. You can now come into your natural breath in and out of the nose. And I'd like you to reach for your blankets. And you are going to roll your blanket into quite a fat roll. Even if you have to fold your blanket in half, you want quite a fat roll with your blanket. And this will be for between the thighs. If you bring your fingers around your roll, you should have a small gap between the thumbs. That's how fat your roll needs to be. Good. Then come back to that position you were just in, lying down on your back in constructive rest. Now, I call this the marble roll, and it may seem super simple. Bring the blanket just below the knees, come back into this position. Relax your arms by your side and use a little bit of pressure of feet in the ground so that your spine rolls slightly up the mat. And this engages the lower back as well. First of all, we're going to attune to the pubic bone, which will attune us to the deeper internal pelvic floor muscles. Take your index finger and your next finger and press it at the top of the pubic bone. This is below the uterus sits just there as well, but press your fingers at the top of the pubic bone. Now, take a deep inhale, push into your feet, exhale, pull the pubic bone down towards your belly button. So what you want to do, you can even place your hands on your belly button, squeeze the pubic bone and the belly button towards each other. And then inhale, relax. Exhale, lift the lower back and press the pubic bone closer to the inner thighs and away from the belly button. Inhale here. Exhale, squeeze the pubic bone and the belly button towards each other. Exhale deeply. Inhale, come towards neutral. Exhale, pull the pubic bone between the thighs. You're rocking the pelvis, but you're engaging the deeper abdominals every time that you do this. If you don't feel it, don't worry. These deeper muscles are gaining communication through this pelvic rocking. Do that a couple more times. Remember to squeeze the blanket as you do this. Notice what happens when you squeeze the blanket between your knees, please. Especially as you bring your pubic bone towards your belly button. You're engaging the deeper abdominals. Now come to neutral, relax. Take a deep inhale and pull your pubic bone slightly towards your left hip bone. So your right hip bone will swing up, your left will swing away a little bit, and you're going to make a little round. So pull the left hip bone towards your ribs and your right hip bone away. And then rock the other way. Keep squeezing the belly down, right hip bone to right rib cage, left hip bone to left rib cage. And do this a few times without overarching your back, and keep feeling as though you're trying to draw the pubic bone and the belly button together. It's just very little swinging motions, keeping your back quite flat on the ground. Be purposeful and slow. Left hip bone and ribs together, then slowly swing around, right hip bone and ribs together. And now, come to neutral. That was just the sensation that we want. Lift your pubic bone between your legs, arch the lower back a little bit, pull the pubic bone towards your belly button. Squeeze the right hip to the right ribs, open the left, and then slowly squeeze the left. Keep pulling your pubic bone towards your belly button. Your hips, the base of your glutes are now just coming off the ground. Squeeze the blanket and move. Squeeze the blanket and rock. Squeeze the blanket and bring your left hip bones together. Squeeze the blanket, right ribs and hip bone together. Squeeze and swing. Squeeze and swing. We'll do that 2 more times. Squeeze the blanket like crazy and swing. Keep bringing the belly button down towards the spine and relax. Relax your arms by your side and take a couple of breaths here. These are very small, intimate movements. And you might think, not necessarily feeling anything, don't worry. We're just communicating the neurological pathways of brain to pelvic floors. Because after birth, sometimes there's a dissociation and we can no longer understand how the pelvic floor muscles are working. Beautiful. And now, keep the blanket between your thighs, press your palms into the ground, pull your pubic bone towards your belly button, and pick your shins up, flex your feet strongly. Press your hands strongly into the mat and slide your spine a little bit up the mat. Make sure your knees are over your hips. Beautiful. Chin towards chest, keep pushing into the mat and roll the base of the spine down. Squeeze the blanket, take a deep inhale. Exhale, move your knees a little bit away. Keep your shins towards each other, squeeze. And inhale, come back to center. Exhale, squeeze the blanket like crazy. Push into your hands, pull the lower back to the mat, and slowly move your knees away from the line of the hips towards the back of your mat, and then bring the knees together to over the hips. Inhale, squeeze the blanket. Exhale, slowly slide your shins away. Push your hands into the mat. Lower back presses to the mat. Slide your shins away. Neural, you've got it perfectly. And then come back towards center. Tanya, you're going to take it very slowly today. If you can only do 3, that's fine. If you can do up to 6 pulsations, do up to 6, and then hug your knees to your chest. It's looking good, Dom. Keep squeezing that blanket. That's it, Catherine. I can see that you're focusing on your belly, not popping. Keep drawing the navel down. Your inner hip flexors are going to be feeling this as well. It's going to feel a little bit tough. Linda, I can see your fingers starting to go, oh, I'm feeling that. And yes. And then hug your knees into your chest. Good. Can't see your whole body. D, can't comment. You can take the blanket off to the side for a moment and simply notice. Simply notice. Beautiful. Now you're going to, without the blanket, but can you feel how your core cannot activate unless you've activated the inner thighs? Why? Because the iliopsoas muscles run along the spine, either side of the spinal cord here. They spiral into and migrate to the end of the inner thighs. If you're not activating the inner thighs, you're not activating your true core. So when your inner thighs are floppy and you're not giving that inward pressure, you're not correctly activating, just so that you understand why we had to use the blanket. Now, hold the mat with your hands and pull your spine up the mat slightly, pubic bone towards the belly button. You can take your hands to the pubic bone, put your thumb in your belly button and bring them closer together. Keep that sensation and then lift your knees. Flex your feet. Now, keep drawing the lower back into the mat. Press your left palm into your left thigh and push. You can keep holding the mat with your right hand if you want. Take a deep inhale, chin towards chest, but don't lift your head. Exhale, slowly slide your right leg away and bring it slightly down. Push into your left thigh, chin down, exhale deeply. Inhale, right knee back to center. Take your left palm onto the ground. Push your spine up the mat. Lower back engages into the mat. Place your right hand on your right thigh, engage. So resist the thigh into the hand into the thigh. Keep holding the mat with the left hand, take a deep inhale. Exhale, slowly lengthen the left leg and bring that leg down towards the ground. And slowly, with control, bring the left knee back to center. Hold the mat with 2 hands. Push your upper back up the mat slightly. Feel that engagement. Lower back engages as well. Place your left palm on your thigh. Push your left hand into your thigh. Feel the resistance on the thigh here. Press. And then hold the mat with the right hand. Slowly lengthen the right leg. Flex the foot strongly. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, slowly lower the leg down. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly bring the shin back to center. Switch. First of all, 2 hands to the mat. Engage the spine. This is important. Chin stays slightly down. Place your right palm on your thigh bone. Inhale. Keep gripping the mat with your left hand. Exhale, slowly lengthen the left leg. Inhale, push your right hand into your thigh. Thigh pushes back as you lengthen that leg down. Feel the engagement. And then bring both knees to center. One more time each side. So, or no, we've got the right side to do now. Right hand on the thigh. Hold this mat with the left. So opposite side now. And do the same again. You will complete with the right leg lengthening. So do either 1 or 2 more rotations depending, but complete with the right leg. No, complete with the left leg lengthening because we started with the right leg lengthening. That's it. You've got it, Catherine. Remember to keep the pressure of your palm on your thigh, please. These are not easy. They're not supposed to be. They're just integrating the deep pelvic floors. If you have any questions, unmute yourself, ask questions at any time. When you've completed, hug your knees to your chest. Beautiful. And just roll around a little bit. Nice. So a very important thing to remember when you have abdominal separation, and we're going to test for abdominal separation now. Place your feet on the ground and then bring your left hand underneath your head. Take your fingers, all 4, little finger next, middle finger and index finger, and place it below the sternum, above the belly button, horizontally across the belly tissues. Keep your feet on the ground, take a deep inhale. Now bring your chin to your chest and lift your head as you push into your stomach with your right fingers. If you have a separation, you'll feel muscles encasing the fingers and some of your fingers will slip out, but whatever is left is how big your separation is, how many fingers. Bring your head back down. Place your fingertips just on the belly button. Take a deep inhale, bring your chin to your chest, lift your shoulders, and then squeeze those muscles around your fingers. Whichever fingers slip out, whatever's left is your separation. And come back down. Usually around the navel it's the most. Place your fingers just above the pubic bone, still horizontally across. Inhale, lift your chin. Exhale, lift your shoulders. Push your muscles to your fingers and see if any of your fingers slip out, and that's your separation. If you have a separation. Sometimes there's no separation above and below, but sometimes it is around the belly button, so you've just got to see. Now this exercise should be done every day. If you do have separation, it's still good if you don't. Take your blanket roll and place it between your thighs once again. Open your arms out like wings. And then from here, lift your shins parallel to the ground and flex your feet. Lower back presses into the mat. Inhale, squeeze the blanket. Exhale, bring both knees over to the right and hover the knees just off the ground. Inhale, squeeze the blanket like crazy. Exhale, bring your knees back to center. Inhale, center. Squeeze the blanket. Exhale, slowly bring the blanket over to the left. Make sure that your knees do not come too close to your body, but that you keep your knees level with the hips continuously. Your exhale brings the legs back to center, all the way up. Inhale, squeeze the roll. Exhale, take it over to the right. Hover the knees and inch off the ground on the exhale, on the inhale, and squeeze the blanket. Exhale, slowly bring the knees back into center, squeeze the blanket. Exhale, over to the left. Squeeze the blanket, inhale, don't drop the knees to the ground, pull the belly back and in, exhale, squeeze the blanket, come back to center, hug your knees to your chest. This you can do every day if you have an abdominal separation, because we're working with the horizontal tissues of the body to bring them back together. All of these exercises are good for separations. Beautiful. Keep the blanket between your thighs. Place your feet on the ground for a moment. Hold the mat with 2 hands. Push your spine along the mat. Bring your knees up. Squeeze the blanket with your knees. Flex your feet strongly. Pull your belly button, your pubic bone to your belly button. Chin towards chest. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, slide both knees, heels down towards the ground. Keep the knees bent. An inch off the ground. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze the blanket like crazy and bring the knees back to center. Inhale, squeeze, lower back and bends. Exhale, slowly take the heels away. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, keep squeezing, knees back to center. One more. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale, keep the squeeze. Bring the heels down towards the ground. Knees stay bent, heels an inch off the ground. Squeeze on the inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Take the blanket away, hug your knees to your chest. Release your feet to the ground and just take 2 deep breaths in constructive rest. Feel if your diaphragm is turning on. If it isn't, breathe out of the mouth slowly and just feel yourself coming back into that deep core center.
Shasta, I'm having trouble breathing. I tend to hold my breath during those exercises. How do I manage?
And breathe out of your mouth. If you're holding your breath on the exhale, breathe out of the mouth through the whole exhale as you practice the movement. Okay, give it a try. Roll onto your side. And then come onto all fours. We're going to use wrist awareness first. Post-birth, our wrists can be quite compromised. So we're first of all going to strengthen the wrists, and then we're going to do a little core exercise on hands and knees. So come onto all fours, spread your palms. Beautiful. Have your blanket close by the way, you'll need it just now. Spread your palms. And then from here, engage the belly up, press up slightly between the shoulder blades so that you're not sinking. You're pressing up slightly between the shoulder blades and just shift your weight forward. Keep squeezing the belly up and then come back to your neutral position. Shift your weight forward, feel the wrists, notice what works for you, and then come back to neutral. Be very purposeful here. Beautiful. Come back to neutral. Spin your palms. So flip your fingers to face your knees and bring the palms back onto the ground. The wrists now face the front of your mat. Keep your fingers spread. Lift the belly, engage by broadening the ribs along the back body, chin towards chest. A little bit of pressing up between the shoulder blades. Shift your weight forward and back. Forward. Try and keep the base of the palm continuously on the mat. Sapna, if you're losing your breathing, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, hear the sound. Inhale through the nose, exhale out of the mouth. Bring your knees together, tuck your toes under. Press your hips back, keep the palms on the mat, and get a good wrist stretch here. Slowly peel the fingertips off the ground, interlace the palms, and just roll out your wrists. Beautiful. And then release the interlace, roll out like this as well. Bring your palms directly underneath your shoulders, knees hips distance apart. We'll use that just now. Knees hip distance apart. Neutral spine. So some of you tend to dump the back. Your pubic bone, pull it into your belly button. Remember, Pull your pubic bone into your belly button. Keep the tailbone long. Press up between the shoulder blades. Be careful not to dump the lower back. Slowly take your left leg back. Turn the toes under. Bring your hips to level. Squeeze through the palms so you're pressing up through the shoulder blades. And try and get your hip bones level with each other across the front body. The toes turn down. Your left toes turn down. Now this is harder than it seems. Turn your left toes inwards. We're reconditioning the iliopsoas after birth. Then turn your left toes outwards. Keeping your heel in line with your hip continuously. Turn the left toes to migrate inwards. Turn the left toes out. Try and keep your sacrum completely square. Press up slightly between the shoulder blades. Some of you are already dumping into the lower back. This will engage the belly. We're now engaging the iliopsoas to engage the deep pelvic floors, believe it or not. Turn inwards, turn outwards. Good. Now bring that heel level with the hip and toes come down and pulsate the heel up without rounding the back. Back stays neutral. Down and up. The foot comes down. Keep the strong flex of the foot and up, down. If you start dumping the back, you've gone too far as you lift the heel up just above the level of the hip. Good. Keep your breathing going. And now bring that left knee down and come into neutral. Relax. Gaze in front of you. Take a normal breath. Lengthen your right leg back, turn the toes down. Check that your hips are even. You can even pick your hand up and check that your hip bones are in line with each other. Your spine is not rounding, it's not pressing up, it's lengthening into neutral. Tighten up that right leg by pushing strongly through the heel. Press stronger into the palms, lift out of your joints. Rotate the right toes inwards, rotate the right toes outwards without over-mobilizing the hip itself. Rotation in, rotation out. Now these are very small movements, but they reconnect the iliopsoas. Rotation out, rotation in. Good, keep going. Remember your back. Dom, you are rounding the lower back a little bit. I want you to pull your pubic bone to your belly button. That's it. That little tiny movement. Pubic bone to belly button, connect it. Pubic bone to belly button. Good. Now, neutral, leg is neutral. Keep the heel in line with the hip, please, and pulsate. Toes come to almost touch the ground, and then lift the heel to just above the hip bone, if you can. Might not work today. Surprisingly, Tanya, you definitely have a fascial adherence on this side more than the other side, so your Caesar scar is holding a bit tighter on your right side than your left, and I can see that by the way that your legs are moving. So we'll work through that one. Beautiful. Good, keep going. It's looking good, Linda. Beautiful focus, Catherine. Keep pressing away from the earth, Muriel. Your shoulders are sagging a bit. Push your palms flatter like this, Muriel. Strong palms. Good, relax your knee and pause. Such little movements, but they are necessary for reconnecting areas that may have been forgotten. Remember, fundamentals. If your wrists are sore, sit down on your heels and just roll out the wrists. So if we skip some of these fundamentals and we're not triggering the neuro system with the muscular activation, you can do as much as you think that you're doing with the core, but it won't necessarily integrate correctly. You'll still keep your abdominal separation. Your hips will still feel a bit funny. Okay, then from here, you're going to take your blanket roll now. Again, we are still working at connecting the iliopsoas on the inner thighs, through the pelvic ridge, and right up through the spine. So from here, coming onto all fours again, and then you're going to push the tops of your feet into the mat, squeeze the blanket roll, pull the pubic bone towards your spine, and it's a very condensed cat and cow, because as you pull your pubic bone up towards your belly button, you're going to lift your gaze without dumping your belly. And then squeeze the blanket, exhale out of the mouth if you need to, squeeze and round up, pull the navel up. Inhale, keep that connection of pubic bone, belly button connection, and look up. Squeeze the blanket, exhaling as you round. One more. Squeeze the blanket, inhale, gaze up. Squeeze the blanket, exhale, round. Good. Tuck your toes under, come to neutral spine. Now, if this feels too intense for you, Tanya, you can skip it, but I have a feeling you will be strong enough. Spread your fingers, push up between the shoulder blades, lift your knees level with your heels. Your knees are an inch off the ground and floating. Squeeze the blanket, pull the pubic bone up, look up, little. Exhale, squeeze the blanket, round tiny. Inhale, squeeze the blanket, little gaze up. Exhale, squeeze the blanket. Two more. Inhale, squeeze the blanket, little gaze up. Exhale, squeeze the blanket, look down, push into the balls of the feet, squeeze the blanket. Excellent. Hand come down, take the blanket away, and just feel. Notice and feel. Nice. So we are now coming to the wall. This is an exercise, no excuses. You can do this any day, every day, when you're boiling the kettle, when you're waiting for something to cook in the kitchen. And this is a great core reintegration. So, and it's one of the fundamentals. Really is one of the fundamentals. Okay. So you're going to face your wall. You don't necessarily have to change the orientation of the mat. It's entirely up to you. Good. Pull this up. Good. So stand facing the wall, quite close to the wall, and then slide your palms down the wall a few inches below the level of your shoulders. Yes? Then walk your feet back. Walk back. Now, I don't want to see this. That's a mountain butt. Nor do I want to see this. This is a sagging belly. So what you want to do is walk your legs as far away as possible. Heels of the hands should be level with your shoulders. And then from here, push the heels into the ground. Pull your pubic bone towards your belly button. This is the zip up. It's not there. It's not here. We are on an inclined plane. Look directly between your thumbs. Press your heels down towards the ground. Zip up, pubic bone towards belly button. You can do this in the kitchen, anywhere at all. Press up onto the balls of your feet. Squeeze. Remember to activate the inner thighs. If you need to use your blanket roll, do so. And then slowly bring your heels down. Keep that engagement of pubic bone towards belly button. Lift. And drop the heels. Are you with us, Linda? Not quite. Arms to the wall. Okay, lift. And down. Now, this is going to be more difficult. Keep your heels on the ground. Pubic bone engages to belly button. When I talk about spinning the eyes of the elbows, your hands are here. This is the inner eye of your elbow. Spin it up. Keep the hands where they are, but just make a little rotation. Do it for me and let's see whether I'm instructing this correctly. Here, my hand is there. My elbow's kind of pointing down. The eye of the elbow, the inner elbow, turn it up. So it's that movement, like that. That's it. Dee's got it, so I know the rest of you will. Muriel, you've got it. So this is the eye of my elbow. I'm turning it up. And this engages the shoulder correctly. Do it with both. Tanya, butt sticking too far back, press up through the pubic bone. Good. Now, spin the eyes of the elbows up, and then slowly bring your elbows down towards the wall. Keep spinning the elbows in towards each other. Squeeze the belly, straighten up. Spin the eyes of the elbows up, bend the elbows towards the wall, squeeze the belly, squeeze the belly, squeeze the belly, push up. Spin the eyes of the elbows up, bend the elbows, chin towards chest, hold here. Can you feel what's happening with your belly? And then press up, walk towards the wall, relax your shoulders. Good. Nicely done, nicely done. If you're finding that your shoulders are taking too much strain, you can do this on a kitchen counter as well. So you can place your forearms on a kitchen counter or anything else. And you can do a similar exercise, but with forearms, and then just taking yourself back and keeping this. This completes and fixes abdominal separation, just doing this. It's not a plank on the ground, but by doing this regularly, you will start to fix your abdominal separation. I do not have a sagging back, I do not have a mountain. I am on an inclined plane from the knees to the shoulders. You can do it against the wall as well. Taking your hands up the wall, slide your forearms down, walk your feet back, and then just press up through the pubic bone, engage into the inner thighs, and you hold for as long as you can. You don't collapse the shoulders, press the shoulders out, relax your neck, press through the heels, and hold. Keep breathing in and out, and you simply hold. Excellent. Walk your feet towards final one, final fundamental. This is not easy, this fundamental, but it is imperative for completing, bringing an abdominal separation together that is still one finger. You will take your elbow onto the wall with your palm straight up the wall and bring the elbow lower than the shoulder. So not here, slide the elbow below the line of the shoulder. You've got it perfectly, Muriel. Muriel, you might slip if you don't slide your sleeve up, but see how you do, okay? That's if you've got sleeves. Yeah, it's gonna be better like that. Now, take your other hand to your hip and walk away from the wall until you can feel yourself sort of elbow level with the shoulder. Press securely into the wall. Now, feet together, zip up. I don't want to see the butt sticking out there. You're going to pull your navel towards your belly button, hold that, and then sink your hip towards the wall and glue the belly. You can even place your hand over the belly and feel. Feel, feel. Muriel, walk a bit further away from the wall for me. Muriel, walk a bit further away. Zip, now take it. Can you feel the difference? Now sink the hip towards the wall. Hold, breathe it in and out. Nice. And then walk towards the wall and do the other side. Forearm to the wall, slide the elbow lower than the shoulder, walk away, feet together, the hips out. You want to now have your elbow about level with the shoulder, zip up, and then sink the hip down. Keep pulling up through the pubic bone, chin stays down, you don't throw your head back, and the deeper you take the hip, the deeper it's going to be to reconnect pelvic floors. It can be intense on the shoulder. Dear, you keeping the shoulders square? How's that feeling for you? Camera angles don't always work for me. Muriel, your right arm has got a bit floppy. Spread the fingers and push the arm stronger into the wall. Good. Catherine, it's looking good. And move away. Nicely done. And now stand and just relax. Arms by your side and feel. Just notice. Notice how you feel. So essentially what that is doing for you is we are reorganizing the posture of the body as well by working into the iliopsoas. Beautiful. And that was part 1. We've kept it to 40 minutes. And we'll do 40 minutes for the next as well. And amazing, because I often have moms with babies running all over them. But today, everything's clear. I'm so impressed, Tanya. It's incredible. So yeah, if you need to take a little bit of relaxation, just lie down on your mat for a few moments and integrate. If you want to jump onto a yoga class sometime, the yins are great. And we also do a flow on a Wednesday, which is more challenging. If you're wanting a deep stretch, come back onto a pregnancy class and it'll balance the stretch and the strength. I have quite a few non-pregnancy people in those pregnancy classes just regaining their strength post-birth as well. Okay, fabulous. I will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me for part 1. See you next week, 10 o'clock for part 2.